Hello everybody, Gravity Octopus here, and today I'm going to show you how to draw hands. Hands look very complex and they have a lot of little parts to them. However, today we're actually going to break it down so you will be able to draw them, hopefully with a little bit of practice, pretty easily. First of all, I wanted to point out a little bit about the hand, and here we have both a front and a back hand. Over here we have the palm, and I could actually just take this, flip it over, and the silhouette would be about the same as the backhand. The main difference is that here we have a little tiny, here we have this, which is the little muscle that connects the palm and the thumb, and we also have lines for the palm. And these wind up having, these will line up with in between the pointer and the middle finger, where this one almost connects to the top and this one actually has a peak right around here. And we also have little tiny ridges that go in front of the fingers. With the back of the hand, we lose a lot of this. This is actually a pretty flat surface. The main thing that we have to pay attention to is the fact that we have knuckles that align with the center of each finger. And at the end of the fingers, we have nails. Here they're represented with little tiny U shapes, and you can actually complete these. And if you want to get real detailed, you can put in nail beds and everything. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I am not going to try that. So, the basic of the basic shapes actually wind up being this right here. It is a little square with some sticks on it. And what we wind up doing with this is right here we have a square, we divide it into fourths, and then we stick a circle in one of the four squares. And this is where the thumb is. This is this muscle right here. And we have four sticks coming out of it. This is actually how our fingers are. This is the motion. This is not going to exactly be what our fingers look like. However, as long as we got the motion, it shouldn't be too bad. Now, first things first, your longest finger is, of course, your middle finger. And the second longest is your pointer finger right here. Your ring finger can be the same height or a little bit lower than your middle or than your pointer finger. And the pinky winds up being actually right around, for me it's actually mid between the first and the second joint of the finger. So it's right around mid right here. So we want to keep that in mind while we're drawing these. And so first things first, your middle finger is your longest finger. And so we just make little sausages essentially of all these sticks. And what I mean by sausages is almost uniformly even from bottom to top, except it actually is just tapering just the slightest bit. So your eye barely catches it. It tapers the slightest bit and then it rounds out at the ends. And we can shorten it a little bit if we don't like the fingers. And where it connects to the palm, so let's make this the palm of the hand. So where it connects to the palm, you want to make this little tiny arch. And this will actually mimic this right here, these little tiny lines right here. And then for the thumb, we have a very similar thing where we make another sausage. And what I like to do here is make this part right here a little bit flatter because we're almost going to see the nail, and the skin kind of pushes up against the nail. So yeah. So that is the basic shape, and we don't want to stop there because the hand, usually, even if it's severed, what we want is we want to connect it to a wrist. Unless you cut it off like right here, you're usually going to have like part of a wrist because this is the easiest part to cut off of a person. I watch a lot of crime shows, so please don't mind me. And so we have the wrist connected, and we actually wind up, I like adding this right here. This is just a couple of veins, or this is just a vein going down, and it adds definition to where the hand stops and the wrist begins. And we also add up a line that goes about halfway here, and the line goes all the way to the middle of the pointer and the center finger. And then we have another line that goes around the middle and right here. And these create bumps in the silhouette of the hand. So let's go in and define a little bit more. That way it's not as messy looking. And so let's start with the pinky. Let's make it black. Much better. Now I am going a little fast, so this is not going to be as pretty as my previous hands. Those were done a little earlier today when I was thinking of making this tutorial. And so we go up and around, go down into the little canyon right here, and we go up and around. And as you can see, this wound up bulging a little bit. That does not look good at all. And so we just go back in and taper it instead. We do not need this looking like that. So, and these ridges do actually affect the way the hand acts, it affects the way the hand looks. That's why I like to add them in. And they're usually not that defined like I'm drawing here. So one ridge, two ridge, and it just barely dips in. And we're going to go for the thumb next. I like using the natural motion of my hand to make these curves. Of course, it doesn't always work correctly, but when it does, it looks good. So we have the basic hand shape, and as you can see here, this is the veins. These are the veins, and that really helps define where the wrist begins. And you can make this smaller. You don't even have to put this. You can even make it just 2 tick marks, and it looks like a hand. So yeah, that's the basic palm of the hand. And to do the back of the hand, it's a pretty similar process, so I'm going to go ahead and sketch it using this one right here. By the way, don't do this. This does not make a canyon for a finger. You want it a nice smooth parabola, basically. This is an X. If it's an X or if it's a V, you know you did something wrong, because not very many naturally occurring angles in well, basically not many naturally occurring angles even have a have that sort of shape. I think the only things are like minerals such as pyrite that form in natural cubes. Everything else is pretty much man-made. So if you have a machine, a robot, yes, you can do that. But even then, I'd recommend doing box, and making that box. But anyway. So here's our other hand. This is going to be used for the back of our hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the outline of this hand again. Again, I'm going fast because because this is not actually to impress y'all with how well I can draw hands. This is just to get the information out there. And we have another finger. As you can tell, the thumb is shorter and stockier than the rest of the hand. And the cool thing about this is that if you do it with the palm side up, you wind up with this muscle right here. But if you do a palm side down, you actually get very little action with this, so you don't even have to look at it. There's no palm lines, but you have knuckles this time. So with your hands flat out like this, what winds up happening is that your knuckles are pretty much even with your hand. And if we want to identify what the knuckles are, we take the middle of the hand and we draw 2 little tick marks again. And this will show where the knuckles are. And we also want to show that this is the back of the hand by the presence of nails. Like eyebrows, nails are a very, very nice little touch to what you're drawing. Now you can ignore the fact that your characters have nails, that's fine, and I remember when I was first starting to draw nails, they looked really, really weird. Don't worry too much about that. But yeah, this is the back of the hand. It doesn't have as much detail, thankfully, and one of the interesting things right here is there's actually a little tiny depression right here with the thumb right below the wrist. So you can shade that in a little bit, give it a little bit of depth. And that's how you draw a hand flat. How you draw it like this or like this is a little different. These are actually made with rectangular prisms, as you can see right here. And we still have that circle. So all we're doing is we're adding thickness. And I actually am running out of time, so if y'all are interested in more of these, I will probably do these whether or not you're interested. But I will show you how to do a more 3D hand in the next one, like this, because this is probably what you want to end up with, something that actually looks legit and real. So, until next time, y'all, have a good one.